Dear friends, here at Fuel, let me hear you for the one, the only, Casey Neistat!
Hello, everyone. How you guys doing? Good, huh? They asked if they could set this up ahead of time. I said no. So I'm just going to do it right now. Okay. That should probably work. Alright. Alright, come on, everybody stand up. Let's everybody stand up. Off your feet. Let's do this. Come on, guys. Come on. Let's just gotta bounce, clap it up a little bit. Just wake up. Okay, alright, you can sit down. I just gotta make sure everybody's awake before we get into this today. I will accept that later. So what do I have? I have a half an hour. I want to talk to you guys today about the unlikely career that I have been lucky enough, fortunate enough to have had. And then something that I think I should have only really understood in retrospect, which is exactly how it happened in the first place. Because no part of my story, my career path, my trajectory, none of it really makes any sense. And only now, looking back as an old man, I turned 37, 37 2 weeks ago, and looking back, only now can I start to put it together and find some semblance of reasonability when I look at my career and how it manifested. You know, when I was a young kid, I was one of 4 children, and I was the child that was never heard by my parents. There was the older, the firstborn, then my sister was beautiful, and my baby brother was the last, and I was just kind of like a forgotten accident in the middle. And because I always had to scream to be heard. And when you combine that with the fact that I was just always in trouble as a kid, it made me sort of feel in those like formative young years, feel like I could never be heard, like I didn't have a voice that mattered. This was the case through school, this was the case at home. I always felt like I had things to say, but no way to say them. And then when I started to kind of really fuck up as a teenager and ran away from home and I had a baby at a very, very young age and I had to leave school because of that. I had to work at a very manual labor job to support my family. I was a bona fide loser. I was the kind of person that you don't make eye contact with when you walk past. I felt like a person without a voice. And then in 1999, I think it was 1999 or 2000, when Apple came out with the first iMac DV computer. Come on, you guys are adults, you remember that thing, right? It had a fucking handle on the top, looked like a toilet, it was colorful. It was the first computer that was consumer marketed to people like you and me, wherein we can edit video on it. And my big brother Van got one. He got one of the first ones. And when he showed me how you could edit video, it like blew my mind. And I immediately maxed out all of my credit cards. I used a tax return. I went into debt. Everything I could to hustle to get that computer. It was like $1,300 US. It was everything I had, but I had it. And what I would do is I would spend all day long making videos of my baby son. I worked nights, his mother worked days, so I was just home with the kid, and I'd make videos all day long. And the sense of sort of freedom that I found in that, this opportunity to express myself, it was as if I'd had a gag. It was as if I couldn't open my mouth or speak my entire life. And the minute I started editing video, I felt like I had a voice. And when that dream was born inside me to be a filmmaker, I use that word in quotes because I wouldn't describe what I do now as filmmaking. When I decided to become a filmmaker, the only path for a filmmaker then was you make an independent movie, and if you're lucky, you'll get it into a film festival. And if you're really lucky, you might get into it like Sundance Film Festival, or Toronto, or Cannes, one of these big film festivals. And then maybe, you'll get to someday go to Hollywood and direct big movies. That's what it meant to have a dream of being a filmmaker when I was a teenager. I didn't know how to connect the dots from being a dishwasher who lived in a trailer park with a baby kid in a shit town in southeastern Connecticut in the United States, how to connect that to being a successful Hollywood filmmaker. I had no idea. So I took baby steps. I moved to New York City, and I just hustled and hustled and hustled, and I made birthday videos, and any opportunity where there'd be an exchange of money, and all I had to do was pick up my camera and make something, anything. I would do that, and I was constantly refining my craft. And it took me in a million different directions, and all the while, the dream, the finish line for me was to be a feature filmmaker, like a proper, respected filmmaker. And then in 2003, I had the first experience with, call it success, I wouldn't call it success, I don't know what it was. The first time something I made actually reached a broad audience. I made a movie about my iPod. It was a Generation 1 iPod. And it broke, the battery died in it. And I called Apple and had them asked if they'd replace the battery, and they informed me that their policy was to tell their customers to simply buy a new one. They wouldn't replace this $400 music players, MP3 players battery. And I was super fucking pissed off. Like, it was my favorite thing in the whole world. They wouldn't fix it. So I made this movie called iPod's Dirty Secret. And I went around to all those like adverts. Remember like the pastel? There's like orange and pink and green. There's like the dude with the silhouette. No, nobody knows what I'm fucking talking about. You had those, right? She knows. Those were all over New York City. And I went up to as many as I could find. And I spray painted a disclaimer on the bottom, like a do not smoking kind of disclaimer. And it said, iPod's unreplaceable battery lasts only 18 months. And I made a little video of that. And this is 2003. This is 3 years before YouTube really was launched, really came up. And I put it on a splash page. And it went viral in a way that didn't make sense at the time. You know, viral was not a word that was used to describe movies or content or anything in 2003. And this movie went viral. It was seen 5 million times off of a splash page. No YouTube. This was a QuickTime player that you had to wait for the entire like 18 megabytes to load over 56K before it would play. And despite all that, it was still seen 5 million times. And the attention was enormous. The news, the media, the print magazines, everything about this stupid little movie that cost us $40 to make. And it was at that point in time I sort of naively did the numbers in my head. And I was like, okay, 5 million people have seen this. What would it look like if 5 million people showed up in a movie theater? That would be a bona fide successful movie. And I was like, okay, so I did my goal, which was reach this audience, which was share my perspective, share an idea. But I skipped that entire process of figuring out how to make a movie. And that was the first kind of moment where I realized what I didn't know, my lack of education in the formal content creation, the formal filmmaking, in the formal media capacity, my lack of understanding was a huge asset. Because if I had known the right way to do it, I wouldn't have made this stupid little movie, I wouldn't have put it on a stupid little website, and it wouldn't have gone crazy viral, and 5 million people may not have seen my work. How do you distribute a movie like that at a time? Maybe you send it to a film festival, a bunch of film festivals, you ask some friends, maybe once it shows up in a festival like this and get to show it to 1,000 people. Exciting. But 5 million people seeing it online, it was like this epiphany. And that was the first time that sort of this confluence of technology and media and what technology was enabling sort of met with my, I was 22 at the time, my 22-year-old ambitions of using video, or making videos to share my voice and share my perspective. And from there, it took me through myriad twists and turns, all the while hustling. I never really made money making videos or in the world of media until 10 years after I bought that iMac. And for those first 10 years, it was a struggle, but I just kept pushing ahead. Because my love was for the act of creation. My love was for the act of sharing. And through all these twists and turns, there were some opportunities, some interesting opportunities. One was from a very wealthy businessman in the United States. He loved what I was doing. He loved the work my brother and I were creating. And he said, do something for me. Let's do something together. And I asked him to bankroll us. I was like, just support us for a year. Make it so we don't have to worry about our rent. And all we'll do is make content. And we'll take that content and we'll find something to do with it. But just trust us on this. And he was like, okay, so you're going to make a feature-length film. And I was like, no. And he was like, you're going to make a documentary. And I was like, no. We just want to make our own videos. And he said, okay. And that's what we did. And at the end of that year, we had all of this content that now looks like a million little YouTube videos. But then it was much more of a question mark around what to do with this. And we connected with a prominent movie producer, a very successful movie producer, and we showed it to her. And she loved it. She said, you need to turn this into a TV show. Take all those fragmented pieces, find a way to connect them, make them 20 minutes long, let's call it a TV show. We did that. And then she took that TV show and she sold it to HBO for a couple of $1 million. I think it was $2.2 million was the final sale price to buy that show from us. A show that we made on video cameras that were 150 bucks. A show that we edited, true story in its entirety, on iMovie. And for the tech nerds out there, it was iMovie 6. Do you remember how bad that was? Like the worst software. That's what we edited on. And we sold that for $2.2 million. We had made it. It was the biggest success you could ever imagine as an independent creator. When the show's credits would roll, it was just like my brother and me. We wrote it, directed it, starred in it, we did the title sequences, we did the special effects, which were usually whatever we could do with our hands. It was just us. And then HBO sat on the show. It didn't do anything. It didn't go anywhere. They didn't know what to do with it. And eventually they aired it a couple years later. Nobody watched it, nobody saw it, got some positive reviews, but nobody actually tuned into it. It didn't find its audience. And it was out of that frustration that I turned to YouTube. I was like, fuck this, like I can't do TV anymore. That was my life into that show. Like, that was everything. And because somebody decided that it should be played at midnight on a Friday, nobody got to see what I made. So I was like, I don't need the ego that comes along with something like an HBO. What I want is an audience. Like I want to share what I'm making with people. I want dialogue. And that's when I went to YouTube. And my focus on YouTube was singular. It was about making the kind of content that motivated me the most, the things that were most interesting to me. And as I would do that, the movies would all sort of pop. Not all of them, but a lot of them. They would, I would post a video on a YouTube channel that had 11,000 subscribers and it would do 1 million views. And then I would continue to do that. And ultimately, those videos, they garnered a lot of attention. And they garnered attention from brands, from companies. And all of a sudden, I found a way to build a business around this. I would make these little viral videos, and they would get such attention that these brands would come running, and they would say, hey, can we work together? And I was like, yeah. And all of a sudden, a production company was able to be built out of that. And ultimately, when the brands realized that I was an absolutely terrible TV commercial director, I will never understand how to make a 30-second TV commercial. It just don't make any sense. I just didn't understand. I could never figure out how to make a 30-second spot. So I pitched a different idea, which is, why don't I make a video like my YouTube videos, but do it for a brand? We now know that it's branded content, but in 2012 it was like, that doesn't work like that. You can't do that. But again, this is where my lack of understanding, my lack of knowledge, my lack of education around the formal ways to market to an audience with, I don't know what any of them, the vernacular. But I persevered. I was like, every person said, it doesn't work like that. I sort of rolled my eyes and I was like, well, it should. And ultimately, I was given an opportunity by Nike. Nike came to me and they're like, look, we love your little videos, Casey. Why don't you do a campaign for us? And I was like, great. And the deal with Nike was to make 3 videos. It was around the launch of their new tech product, the Fuel Band, I believe it was called. It's like a Fitbit made by Nike. They were very excited about it, and we agreed to make 3 videos. The first 2 videos were exactly what I pitched. The story was exactly what was on paper. They were very excited about it. They did very well. The audience seemed to love them. It was wonderful. And when it came time to make that 3rd video, I was a little beat up from having worked with Nike for so long. I was a little bit beat up that that had been my only focus for several months. And on top of that, my brain had sort of wandered back to making fun videos for me and away from the business that I'd been building. And I came up with this kind of stupid but really exciting idea, and I pitched the idea to my editor, my best friend. And the idea was like, why don't we just travel to an airport, nearest airport here, and we'll take the next flight out, and we'll go to that city, and we'll take the next flight out, and we'll go to that city, and we'll take the next flight out, and we'll just visit all these cities around the world until we run out of money. Or make it back to New York, or get kidnapped, and whatever. So you gotta be open-minded to do something like that. And he was like, okay, but what about the Nike video? And I was like, we'll figure that out. Let's just do this. And for some stupid reason that I still don't understand, that's what we did. We went to the airport, and we just left, and we blew the entire Nike budget, traveling around the world. And when we got back to New York City, we had over 40 hours of footage, 40 hours of content that we were supposed to deliver as a 2-minute branded video. And we did. We missed every deadline. We screwed up all the launches we were supposed to do. We never delivered on what we were supposed to deliver. And a few months later, after a lot of pressure from the amazing and very patient people at Nike, we handed in a video. And Nike's response to that video was, we don't know what this is, but we think it's good. And then they're like, but why don't you just go ahead and put it on your channel? And I was like, great. I mean, I got it. They were distancing themselves a little bit because they weren't sure what it was. And in fairness, there's absolutely no Nike products in the entire video. It was a slight oversight. I realize that now. I went back and shot it at the beginning, Nike strong. But in any event, they liked the video. They liked it enough to let me put it out there. And that video went fucking nuts. That video went crazy. It was viral in a way I had never experienced virality before. It started a whole dialogue. This idea of inspirational content branding didn't exist then. I'm so sick of it now. Every fucking bar is so custom to inspire people. But then, it was something that was sort of, it didn't really exist in this space. And this video just went nuts. And it started all these conversations. I remember Mark Parker, the CEO of Nike, calling me saying, I watched that video over the shoulder of my assistant, and I realized after seeing that I need to get out more. This is the CEO of Nike saying that to me. And that video went on to be the most watched video that Nike had ever released online. And when that happened, it blew the doors wide open for me in what I could do in this space as far as making a living, as far as turning it into an actual opportunity, an actual career. And again, like this, I keep ringing this bell because this is another example of me not knowing the right way to do things, me not understanding the formal way of working in marketing and advertising, not understanding the traditional way of working with a company like Nike is exactly what led to this success. The reason why I keep ringing that bell, the reason why that is sort of the underlying thesis of this talk today, it is because the world of media, technology, the entire landscape, video distribution, content distribution, is changing so quickly right now that to be taught, that to learn any tradition behind it, that the idea that success, as in reaching a broad audience in this space, is something that can be learned, duplicated, replicated, find consistency, that it does not exist. If you were to stop everything and study exactly what it takes to be successful today, before you can get that paper printed, that rule, that recipe would no longer apply because the landscape would have changed. And me not having that education, me not having that formal understanding of how to succeed in this space was the most virtuous thing I could ever have, because it prevented me from ever being stuck in any sort of traditional way of doing things. There's like a 5% chance my computer works, but do you guys want to see that Nike video? It's really fun to watch on the big screen. Do you guys want to see that Nike video?
Yes!
I mean, it wasn't asking rhetorically. It's a really cool video. Hold on one sec, almost there. Was that like a sound effect? Were you guys playing a sound effect for me? That's awesome. Okay, almost there. We're so almost there. I want you guys to know that everybody here at this event was like, Casey, don't bring up your laptop. Just give us the videos. We'll play them as soon as you say play them. And I was like, I got this. I don't know how to do the traditional way. Right? Oh, there. Okay, here we go. Ready? This video is like 3.5 minutes long. I was just fucking around. I totally had it. So, after that video, things really took off for my business and for my company. And it was a really, really, really interesting merge of two things that I love doing. One was making fun videos like that, and then two was a brand's desire to authentically connect with an audience. And when companies would come to me with a script or with a pitch, and they'd say, we want you to make this, execute on this, I was like, this isn't me, this isn't my voice, this is your voice, or some, Creativity Factory's voice that put this together. You're here because you saw something that was authentically mine. Let me leverage that voice. And then they started to say, after the Nike video, they started to say, okay. And that's when I was able to build a real business and find a real path to something that looked like a career in this space. After doing that for a couple of years was when something happened to me in my career that really changed the course of everything that I was doing, which was I was invited to do a fellowship at MIT, at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. And it was this program that was a joint program between the Sundance Institute, the nonprofit wing of the Sundance Film Festival, the Rockefeller Foundation paid for the whole program, and then MIT and MIT's Media Lab put it on. And they invited one filmmaker to go there, one filmmaker to be part of this academic institution, be around these technologists, participate, be a part of it. And then they picked me. And it was a huge honor. I don't know if this is official, but my MIT professor has said, to the best of his understanding, I'm the only high school dropout who's also an MIT fellow. I wear that badge proudly. And when I went to MIT, I remember leaving. It was just after I was married, and I was just starting to make a consistent income doing branded work, like that Nike video. When I went there, I gave myself a mission, and that mission was singular. And that mission was, when I left MIT, when I left this fellowship, I would do something that was unlike anything I'd done in my career. I needed a 180. I needed something completely fresh. And while I was there, I was surrounded by technologists, people actually making technology. I shared a lab with a doctor who built robotic legs that enabled him to walk again and climb mountains again and dance again. There were people building software all around me that was changing the world. And I left and I was like, I want to be a part of that. And I very naively started a technology company. I very naively went out to Silicon Valley. I naively knocked on the door of venture capitalists asking for money. And in the end, I raised $6 million to start a software development company. I've never written a line of code. I've still never written a line of code. I have no idea how to write code. And I was still able to do that. I was still able to get there. And the one thing that the VCs really latched onto when I was sitting there pitching them, this high school dropout who makes silly videos on the internet, leaning over the desk so aggressively, I'm like this close to them, trying to get closer to pitch my idea. There were two things that these people really responded to before they wrote checks, and those two things were the passion that I had, and then they'd seen my videos. And they're like, oh, we like the stuff that you do, and I can see you're onto something, and they would write a check, a real check, enough to start a real business. And as I was getting closer to launching my tech company, Beam, I realized this is going to be launched into a vacuum. And that's where the idea came from for the first vlog. The vlog was not some novel idea to create a reality TV show on YouTube, but it was this idea of maybe creating a little show and content around my company to bring attention to it. Just so happens that software development's really, really fucking boring, so I needed more content. I turned the camera on myself. But it was the tech company that yielded the vlog, not the other way around. But then it flipped, and it was the vlog that yielded the success of the technology company. It was the exposure that my vlog gave my tech company that ultimately led us to acquisition in 2017, which was one of the most extraordinary sort of turns, pivots in my entire career. The idea that a huge multinational, multi-billion-dollar company would buy my tech company. It was unfathomable to me, especially because the thing they were most interested in is what I'd done in the media landscape. And the tech company was more of an illustration of what was possible with this kind of thinking than it was them literally wanting the IP that we purchased. Ultimately, that didn't work out. I didn't do very well in that environment. It was a difficult environment for me to find my voice in. But after leaving that, and I do consider that a very successful engagement, a successful year plus of my life, working with a huge team, working with a gigantic company, it led me at the beginning of this year. And at the beginning of this year, it was the first time I kind of didn't really have a job or anything to do in a very long time. And I sat down and I looked at all the things that I've done, all the things that interest me, and I came to some conclusions. And the thing that I just kept resetting to is this idea of I've always succeeded the most when I've blindly followed passion, when I'm going down a road that has yet to be paved or even discovered. I'm not following somebody else's footsteps. I'm trying to do something that there is no rule book for. There is no instruction manual for what it is that I want to do and what I want to do. It's hard to get someone's attention. And I look around the YouTube world that I live in and I see all kinds of people like me who are naively able to get people's attention in the most intimate way possible. So what would it look like if I were to build a company around that? What would the verticals be for monetization around that? You can let your imagination go wild, because I have. I'm not building this company with monetary ambitions in the forefront. I'm building this company to see if there's a way to really scale this idea of content creation, and behind that, leveraging the power that comes along with that. I'm like 16 days into that company, so I'm going to have to come back here and talk to you guys next year and either explain to you why I failed miserably, or land in my private jet in the parking lot and come here and tell you why it's been great. But that's where I am. That's where I am today. I couldn't be more excited about the future than I've maybe ever been before. And I've also never been more confident in this idea of embracing what I don't know to find success in a space that has not been defined. I've never been more confident about it than I am today. Thank you guys very much. This has been fantastic, and thank you for having me here.